Week 10, changing up the format a little bit. Why? Double digit, most miles I've run. Let's jump right into it quick. Week 10, here we are. Finally got to double digit weeks, but we're having a little bit of a crisis as who knows what this race is going to happen simply because of the whole coronavirus that is happening. Shortening up the videos, changing the format a little bit based upon some feedback that I got. Make sure you hit subscribe as we're going to be trying keeping these 5 minutes or less, diving into little topics and little bit of different workouts that we've done. So, getting right into week 10, 6 days, 6 different runs, 85.32 miles, first time over 80 miles, 10 hours, 45 minutes and 40 seconds for an average of 734 per mile. The average heart rate this time was 140 beats per minute, which fits right in line because this week we jumped into the LA Marathon and completed that. So we're gonna dive kind of into 2 different workouts, but mainly focusing on that LA Marathon and what I was able to do. As I talked last week, the goal was to maintain a 145 heart rate, and that I did. So here is the workout. It was 3 hours, 15 minutes, and 34 seconds for the LA Marathon. An average heart rate of 144 beats per minute, 725 per mile. And this was a tough marathon, 860 feet of gain, which is the highest elevation that I have in my marathons that I've done. So it's quite difficult, but wanted to really dive into a couple of the aspects that were great about this marathon. One, I think it's going to be the last big city marathon that is run for quite some time because of the coronavirus. There's a lot of speculation there they were going to cancel it, but they ended up running it, so I was really pumped on that. And I know that a lot of people that ran it were like, this is probably the last marathon that's going to get run until May, so I was really blessed to be able to run that one. Number 2, it is a tough course. It's very hilly, although it is a net downhill course. There's still over 850 feet of climbing in it, but it was one of those beautiful California days, so there's no complaining that was happening on there. It was really awesome to be able to do this. I ran with 2 people, one from Northern California, one was from San Diego, and spent about 10 miles, 12 miles with them, just hanging, chatting, and totally forgetting I was running a marathon, so it was really great. Heart rate stayed at 144. So a lot of questions have been asked, is Maffetone working for me? So let's take a look at what I did at Surf City beginning of February to where I'm at with LA Marathon now. 2 totally different courses. Goals were different. One was to pace the 315 group. One was to keep the heart rate under 145. So at Surf City, you can see it was 314, just over 314, so a little bit quicker. LA, 315 and change. Surf City, 148 beats per minute. LA on a much more difficult course, a lot more hills, 144 beats per minute. So the time was a little bit slower, but the heart rate was significantly lower on a far more difficult course, which I find really valuable for me to gather and say, I'm getting in significantly better shape. The other thing is I was able to recover from this marathon just as quickly as I was the Surf City Marathon, which was proof and point into my 20 miler that happened on Saturday. So I was able to back up that marathon with putting in an 85 plus mile week and doing another 20 miler on Sunday. So that workout was 20 miles, 20.35 miles, 736, 781 feet and only 136 beats per minute. But look at this progression that happened later in the run. So on the second half, I wanted to try to extend it up to around 140, 145 beats per minute. But I had a 729 mile at 133. I had a 728 mile, 134, 729 at 139, 712 mile at 137, 709 at 142, and a 7-minute mile at 140. So what that shows me is that my pacing is really improving with the same heart rates throughout the duration. And And here's two graphs that I really want to work on. Let's take a look at what this low heart rate training is really doing for me. So if we stretch out December, January, February, March, which is really the 4 months that I've really been banging out these high mileage and focusing on this low heart rate more intense than I was for marathon training, is my average heart rate for December was 139, January 140, February 137, and March thus far is 139. But if we look on top of pacing, so that was a pretty flat, plus or minus 3 seconds. In February included an off week, which is why that one's a little bit down. So if we overlay pacing on that, December was 742, January 738, February 743, which includes a full week of more recovery, so a little bit, probably about 15 seconds per mile slower, and then March is at 734. So if we have the exact same heart rate in December, 139, in March, 139, and we look at the pacing, that is 8 seconds per mile average difference over the duration of a 4-month window. So when people ask me, does low heart rate training work? If we were to just take this snapshot, I think we can say it can. You have 2 different marathons, one more difficult than the other, and I have a lower heart rate with plus or minus 1.5 minutes. If we have just overall training, we have the same heart rate in 8 seconds per mile average faster in the same training cycle. But then if you take a look at the volume that's increasing, so it's giving your body more opportunity to be fatigued. We have December volume 228, January 276, February 333, and March is going to be 350 plus. And we're still seeing heart rate staying the same, but pacing drop. And that is exactly why we're working on low heart rate. So if you have any questions, I'm going to really build a full video about what I do, how I do it, and the math behind it. Focus just on that without any of the training. But that is showing me this training plan is working. So as we move on to week 11, we're bumping it up, staying around another mid 80s. We got the double marathon coming next weekend. This Sunday, I'm going to be doing a 15-mile tempo, or a 10-mile tempo and a 15-mile run. Got another tempo during the week, and then we've got back-to-back marathons next weekend, which is what I'm really looking forward to. So make sure you hit subscribe. Look forward to telling you guys about week number 11, and hopefully my race continues to go. Who knows? But we're going to keep training, and if it goes, it goes. If not, we'll look for a backup race as time passes on. Stay safe out there. Keep your 6 feet of distance, but don't stop running. Take care.